In the very beginning, as marketplaces, we all face the kind of the chicken and the egg, right? Or the kind of cold start problem. So, how did you kind of solve for that?
We solved for that with the Zestimate. And the Zestimate was this idea that we had. Well, let me back up. So we're like, okay, we should build a real estate product, a real estate website of some sort. It'll provide information transparency. It'll empower consumers with access to this information, which is hidden behind secret databases at the county courthouse, in the MLS, in consumers or real estate professionals' brains, and will provide information transparency. And then we said, well, okay, what's the most important question that everybody asks about real estate? And the way most websites at the time, this was 2005, there were plenty of real estate websites at the time. The question they were all answering was, what's for sale? Every single one, Realtor.com, every website at the time was answering, what's for sale? And we're like, well, that's interesting. But the question that most people ask themselves is not actually what's for sale, it's what's my house worth? And there were lead gen sites at the time that would say, what's my house worth? In fact, House Values was a publicly traded company that would have TV ads that would say, go to housevalues.com and we'll tell you what your house is worth. You go to housevalues.com, you'd enter your address and hit submit. And then it would say a real estate agent will call you to tell you what your house is worth. So it was lead gen to real estate agents to tell you what your house was worth. And so, I still remember we were in a high rise in downtown Seattle. We were looking across at Queen Anne, which is a residential neighborhood kind of across the lake. And we were like, imagine if you had goggles, like superpowers, like godlike goggles. There was no VR, AR, Oculus, Snap spectacles. None of that existed yet. We're like, what if you could put on these glasses and you could like see a price on every rooftop, and you could see all this, like you could look into the houses and see on every single house, not just the ones that are for sale, but every house. That would be really cool and voyeuristic and incredible and illuminating and traffic generating. And so we said, okay, to do that, we need to figure out what every house is worth. That seems really hard. And so we called this guy, Stan Humphreys, who ran analytics at Expedia and worked for us at Expedia. And we're like, hey, we finally figured out what we're going to do. It's been 3 months. We've been sitting in this conference room, editing family photos. And like, we're going to try to figure out what every house in the country is worth. It's time to leave Expedia and join us. And he's like, I don't know anything about real estate. And we said, well, neither do we. Like, this isn't about real estate. This is a math problem. This is just simple. Well, not so simple. It's a pretty complicated math problem, but it's a math problem. It's not a real estate problem. And we're going to figure out what every house is worth. And he said, okay, fine. So he joined. And then we did a $6 million pre-seed round from the founders, from us. Remember that down round I mentioned at Hotwire? When we sold Hotwire for $700 million, I made $1 million, and I was the co-founder. And with that $1 million, I bought a $700,000 house, or $650,000 house, or $650,000 down payment on a $800,000 house. And with the other $350,000 that I made from Hotwire, I put it into the pre-seed round at Zillow. So I just, put it all on, bet it all on black. And actually, that's a bad metaphor, because that would make it sound like there's a 48% chance of success. I bet it all on like 00. And put the 350 into the pre-seed round at Zillow. And we raised $6 million from the rest of us. My co-founders each did $2.5 million. They had more money than I did from their Expedia experience. And then the other couple employees did the rest. And so we did $6 million pre-seed. We spent a couple months buying data and building algorithms to try to value every home in the country. And when we launched February 2006, we had 40 million Zestimates. So that was about half the country, with a 14% error rate, meaning that every time a home is sold, the Zestimate was about 14% off on average. So 40 million Zestimates, 14% error. Fast forward 15 years later, today Zillow has 100 million Zestimates. So basically every home in the country at a 4% error rate. And on homes that are for sale, it's about a 2% error rate. So the Zestimate went from 14% wrong to 2 to 4% wrong over the 15 years that I was CEO. And the way that it did that was through AI and machine learning and computer vision. And we can talk about that if you want, but 15 years of just the algorithm improving and us improving it and it improving itself. But to answer your question briefly, Mike, the answer on the cold start problem was the Zestimate. When we launched, we had 1 million users on day one. We had 4 million users in month one. That's still the fastest launch of any product, including ChatGPT. They didn't have 1 million users on day one. Faster than Snap, faster than Instagram, faster than WhatsApp. And, and by the way, it took 2 years to get back to that first month traffic. So huge spike, 4 million UUs in month one, which is only a 3-week month. And then and then it took 2 years of the grind to get us back to where we were on month one. So I guess we didn't really solve the cold start problem. We had a very hot start, and then it became lukewarm, and it took 2 years to get it back to where it was.